Well done. Nice job.
Well, we're looking forward to hear great things about you all, and I hope you have a very successful year learning more about Fairfield Township. Okay. The next item on the agenda, we have appointments for 2 police officers. So we will go ahead and we'll start with the resolutions. May we have the first resolution, please?
It's Resolution 2216, authorizing the appointment of full-time police officer Zachary Steele at an hourly rate of $27.02 per hour with a 12-month probationary period.
Motion to adopt resolution 22-116.
Second.
Let's see, Captain Lanier, any comments?
I have bios here. First and foremost, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Fairfield Township. I'm Captain Doug Lanier with the Fairfield Township Police Department. Trustees, Mrs. Vonderhaar, staff, family, and friends of our candidates, thank you all for being here tonight for this special occasion, the swearing-in ceremony for 2 new police officers, Zachary Steele and Trent Smith. Prior to swearing in, I would like to recognize some of the members of our police department who are here. We have Sergeant John Vanderwright. He is our Administrative Investigation Supervisor. Sergeant Brandon McCroskey, our Day Shift Sergeant. Sergeant Jamie Mays, our Midnight Shift Sergeant. Sergeant Matt Miller is our Evening Shift Supervisor. However, he's in training, so he's not here. He usually does not miss these. We also have Officer Ryan Roach, Officer Tess Flynn, Officer Mark Bartlett, and Officer Adam Green. I believe that's everyone. Our candidates went through a rigorous hiring process and meet the expectations to serve as a Fairfield Township police officer. Zach provided a bio, which I will read. Mr. Zach Steele has been a resident of Butler County for 28 years. He is a graduate of Ross High School and graduated in 2012. Prior to beginning his journey in law enforcement, he worked in warehousing for 10 years. And in October of 2020, he made the decision to put himself through Butler Tech's Police Academy and graduated from the academy in July of 2021, where he obtained his peace officer certification. He was the recipient of the Brian Dooley Award during his time in the academy, and shortly after, he started his law enforcement career at the Westchester Police Department. Zach is a single father of 2 boys, Colson, age 5, and Sutton, age 3. He's on the ground down there. Some things Zach enjoys in his spare time are prioritizing his health and fitness with exercise, spending time with his large family, and focusing on his career in law enforcement.
Mrs. Schultz, will you call the roll?
Trustee Harkemeyer.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 22, statement of full-time police officer Trenton R. Smith, who is certified by Ohio Peace Officers Training Council at an hourly rate of $27.02 with a 12-month probationary period.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Captain Lanier, any comments?
I also have a bio for Trenton Smith. Mr. Trent Smith is originally from the small town of Richwood, Ohio, where he graduated from North Union High School in 2016, having spent 4 years on the varsity bowling team and playing lead trumpet in both the marching band and concert band. He then went on to attend Miami University, where he received his bachelor's degree in forensic science and investigation. One of his proudest accomplishments was getting to organize and participate in a special course his senior year at Miami, which focused exclusively on local cold cases in the Cincinnati area. After graduating from college, Mr. Smith moved back home to Marysville, where he worked as an electrician's assistant while pursuing his dream in law enforcement by attending night classes at the Delaware Area Career Center. He now lives over in Liberty Township with his new wife, Elizabeth, who grew up here in Fairfield Township. They were married May 14th of this year and were fortunate enough to spend their honeymoon abroad in Ireland. In his free time, he enjoys bike riding, kayaking, and writing music. Serving in law enforcement has always been a lifelong dream for him, and he is very excited to begin working for the community, which has helped shape his family.
Mrs. Schultz?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birdie.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
and that resolution passes. Congratulations. We'll now move to the swearing in. I'll ask the other trustees if you'd like to join me. Officers, if you'd like to join us up here.
Yeah, you should have them stand up here.
Okay. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Trenton R. Smith, do
Do solemnly swear that I will serve
solemnly swear that I will serve
my department with respect and dignity,
my department with respect and dignity,
serve and protect the citizens of Fairfield Township
serve and protect the citizens of Fairfield Township
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
and uphold the Constitution of the United States,
and uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the rules and regulations of the Fairfield Township Police Department.
and the rules and regulations of the Fairfield Township Police Department.
And I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially do the duties of Township Police Officer
And I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially do the duties of Township Police Officer
and Township Constable
and Township Constable
for the Township of Fairfield and Butler County,
for the Township of Fairfield and Butler County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
And if we want to do pictures,
Yeah, you're more than welcome to take some pictures up by the flag with your family.
Now, you're all invited to stay for the rest of the meeting. We'd love to have you, or you're more than welcome to head over to the firehouse where there will be some refreshments.
Yeah, our officers are over there. There's cake, some snacks, and drinks over here. If there's someone over here.
Okay.
You show up.
Yeah.
Will you
Cake or sit here with this meeting? Give me cake.
A little short out the back door.
Sergeant's office.
Okay, the next item on the agenda for this evening, we have with us this evening Dan Dieters with Energy Alliance, who will discuss the energy and gas aggregation program update. As many of you might recall, we were in negotiations to change that. And Mr. Dieters, if you'd like to give us an update.
Sure. Nice to be back here again. It's not an unusual sight to see a bunch of people leaving the room before I start to talk. but as you remember, 2015 voters approved both electric and gas aggregation on the ballot in Fairfield Township. We immediately started a program, and that left us. We renewed it once, and that left us May 2022. As you all know, in the last several months, for everybody, it's kind of been the last several months they're seeing this. For us in the energy business, we've been watching this for the last 2 years. And while the GCR, which means gas cost recovery from Duke, had been low, all the futures were very, very, very high. And we were not willing to lock any of our communities, any of our 26 communities, into a program that we didn't know or have really any clue what the pricing was going to be down the road. So when I came back to you and asked you to go on a hiatus through the summer, it made sense because nobody really uses any gas in the summertime. And then we looked around, shopped it, bid it, did everything we could. The prices were in the 90s. And then in about a month ago, there was a dip. And when that happened, we struck for our 26 communities at 83.9 cents ACCF. That's 100 cubic feet of natural gas. That may seem high because folks last winter were paying 39 cents in Fairfield Township. But unfortunately, that's the way the market is now. If you look at the GCR history of Duke, and Duke doesn't buy this strategically. They just pretty much buy it ahead, but they don't buy at all. They don't buy 2 years ahead. So at the end of the day, Duke is always going to get their money back. So if they don't buy enough, have to go out and buy it, they'll just tack it onto the bill the next month. So this program with AEP at 83.9 cents, we believe is going to be good through the winter at least. And as all of our programs are, you can come and go as you please without any fee. So the reason that we do these programs like that is because if you have people and you don't know who's going to opt into the program, there's no way we can get a price this low. You can see that every day on the apples to apples chart on the PUCO. There were absolutely zero prices that were as low as ours, fixed for more than 12 months, had no termination fee, and had no early exit fees, early termination fees. So we think the price is fair. It's stable at this point. It's stable for 2 years. And our goal is to get through this winter for sure. And we think we're going to be successful with that. October's price is $1.15, and that's the first month this is going to start.
And that's what Duke is currently
That's
going
what
to
Duke is.
be.
They have to file their rate
Okay.
3.5 weeks, 3 weeks before the end of the month sometimes. So we already know what their rate is. So our rate is going to be, basically 30 cents off of that. So for next month to start, we don't see anything in the market that leads us to believe that this thing's going to nosedive. Our storage has been low. Our production is starting to just ramp up now. And 70% of the gas you use is about to happen in December, January, February, March. So we've put in a stable price, we believe, and there's no reason at this point to foresee anything other than that being a pretty good price through the winter. The programs, of course, you can get out of the program. You can come back into the program. We never charge you anything. You just have to wait for the meter read date. So when these programs are approved, you know, our job is to provide a fair, stable price and protect the residents from bad terms and conditions that keep them in anything that they don't want to be in. So that's kind of where we are right now. And if anybody has any questions, and I'll address the electric right after.
So to sum it up, Duke is going up to $1.15, but your prices that we've negotiated for the township residents is about 84 cents.
Correct. And if you
And
look at
people
that,
can pick either one that they want.
yeah. And if you get out and you think to myself, man, I should have stayed in the Fairfield program, give us a call. We'll put you back in. If you look at that chart up there is the Duke GCR since 2010-11. I don't know if you can all see it, but the bottom line is it's super volatile and it's very high right now. And our goal is to do our best to get through this winter and through the summer, of course, doesn't really make a difference, as I said. And then if the market would fall out, we can buy futures and blend it back in and lower the price. Or we stick if the market's still the same way. So we still have options. That's why we didn't do a 3-year deal. This is only a 2-year deal. Generally, the last 2 we've done are 3-year deals, but we have to leave ourselves some options to be open to.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Okay.
And then this is something that the voters voted in 2017, I believe, in November.
I think it was 15.
2015?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I just looked it up. You were certified in 16, May
Okay.
of 16. So, and we started the first gas program, I think September of 16. So
Okay.
these are every community, and there's hundreds and hundreds of them in Ohio, have voted these through. And
Right.
what it does is it just provides an option for residents to take advantage of. And ours have been pretty successful I mean, yeah, sometimes we'll lose a month by a penny or two, but in January of last year, we were winning by, 28 cents, 31 cents, 44 cents. And May was our last month and we were ahead 62 cents. So not a lot of use in May, but there is some, but that's kind of just how it works.
Okay.
So, and I hate to focus on savings. I'm trying to focus more on volatility than savings because that's the issue is that your GCR is variable every month if you're not with an aggregation. You don't know what's coming or where it's going to be. So the electric program is over, I believe, in November. Unfortunately, because of the way gas pricing is, it's very difficult for us to come up with a price at this point until the end of this month. Duke runs what they call capacity auctions. That's to oversimplify it completely, and I'll get made fun of by everybody that watches this. It's how much it costs to put the power on the lines on the grid, and they auction that off every year. Those auctions aren't done until the end of this month. So at the end of this month, I'll probably be coming back and saying, okay, here's where we go. And if we cannot get something done, which I don't see that happening right now, the same thing will happen. We'll go on a short hiatus and we will pick and choose a good month to restart that we can make sure that people are saving money. Because electric, that's the goal in electric, is to make sure people are trying to save some money.
Questions?
I have heard from some friends of mine in our community that there are some people walking around going door to door trying to get people signed up on their energy company. Could you speak to that? Who these people
Those
might be?
Those are scams.
Okay.
Those are complete, absolute scams. Energy Alliances does not do anything like this. AEP, our supplier, will not do anything like this. Don't ever give anybody your bill. Don't ever give they can take your bill and they can put you in a program without you knowing it. So don't give them anything. And their prices are never going to be nearly as good as us buying for 140,000 homes like we've done.
But it is true that you can pick and choose who you want to get your gas and electric from. Duke is still got the poles and the pipes, but you can buy that from anybody, any electric or gas company. I've been with AEP before, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you call me and you say, okay, here's the deal, it's on the PUCO, and I look at it and it's comparable, I'll tell you it's okay. But the difference is at the end of the day, we can renegotiate this one down. You're never going to be able to renegotiate any of those other deals.
versus
So-
staying with Duke and paying month by month.
Yeah.
You know, but I have even billing, so I haven't seen any difference. Well, you will come settle up month.
You will.
Somebody's got to pay that bill, and that's
That's-
what a lot of people are complaining about now, is that their rate has been all over the place and haven't been in the program.
Correct.
And then you get to month 11 or whatever month it is, and you got a much larger bill to pay.
I live in Blue Ash, and if I could get in this program, I'd get in it.
Move.
Get any condos up here, make my wife happy?
We've got some great
Yeah,
things coming
we
into the
do.
township.
Actually, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you,
No
Mr.
problem.
Eaters.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Bridgewater Church Final PUD zoning case, FTZ C22-3C. Who will be addressing us on this? Sure.
Julie, do you have my presentation? All right, well, while she gets that open up, yeah, this is the final PUD plans. Basis companies, they're submitting this for the phase 2 of Bridgewater Landings. This plan includes a Starbucks and a tidal wave auto spa. To orient you to this, I mean, I guess we could go through that again, but this is the same PUD that we've been looking at the past few zoning hearings. It's located right at the intersection of Princeton Road and Gilmore. So as I mentioned, yeah, they are requesting the final PUD plan approval. This plan includes an extension of Gilmore Road. This road will be privately maintained, and the 2 lots that will be developed will be for a Starbucks and a tidal wave auto spa. The extension includes roads, sidewalks, utilities from the Princeton and Gilmore intersection to the new entrance of the Bridgewater Church. The plan also includes the development of 2 sites, the road plans, stormwater plans, utility plans, grading plans, and access drive locations for both of the proposed sites have been submitted as appropriate to Butler County and have received appropriate reviews for this stage of the project. The Starbucks plans, I have some visuals up there somewhere, Julie. PowerPoint. That'll work. So yeah, the Starbucks plans includes the construction of a approximately 2,300 square foot building and all associated site improvements. The building will be set back approximately 58 feet from Princeton Road and approximately 100 foot from the Gilmore Road intersection. The building includes a drive-through, small outdoor patio space, and indoor seating. The proposed building meets and exceeds the architectural requirements outlined in the Bridgewater Church BPUD design criteria. The building is going to be composed of brick veneer, EIFS, architectural composite wood siding, glass and aluminum storefront. The proposed ingress egress is designed to accommodate the turning radius for emergency vehicles. Landscaping improvements are going to be included throughout the site. Monument sign, dumpster enclosure will be composed of materials similar to that of the building. The Tidal Wave Auto Spa includes the construction of a 3,200 square foot car wash tunnel and I may be off on this number, approximately 6,300 square foot canopy covering, which covers 20 parking spaces and includes vacuums. And the site also has improvements in landscaping. This building also meets the architectural requirements outlined in the Bridgewater Church BPUD design guidelines. The buildings are going to be composed of brick veneer, manufactured stone, glass and aluminum storefront. So it's the staff's opinion that the conditions that were placed on the BPUD during the zone change and the preliminary PUD process have been addressed and provided in the final PUD plans. It's also the opinion of the staff that the submitted plans generally meet the requirements and guidelines outlined in the design guidelines. The applicant has made a consistent effort to address concerns and issues that have been brought to them by the township and county staff. Staff further believes that the plan is consistent with sections 615.7 of the zoning resolution and will promote public health, safety, and general welfare of the residents of Fairfield Township. Based on the findings of fact and the submitted proposal, the staff makes the recommendation to approve with conditions. Staff made 5 conditions. The first condition is that all applicable findings and conditions of case FTZC 22-2C shall remain in effect and are required to be met. The second condition is that the monument signs must have foundation plantings to be approved by the zoning administrator. Third condition is landscaping needs to be increased along Princeton Road, both of the proposed sites, to be approved by the zoning administrator prior to the approval of the zoning certificate. Fourth condition, graphics and signage will not be approved on any of the dumpster enclosures. And the fifth one is tidal wave canopy posts are to be wrapped and a primary exterior material matching the building. And that concludes my presentation.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Not to the zoning. Is the developer going to present as well? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jerry Royce. I'm with Basis Companies, and we're the developer for the project. We really appreciate your time tonight, and we're excited to be here because we've been working on this project for about a year now. We've been working with the pastor and his team, done a great job, and Chuck and Julie, and really trying to bring to the township a great project. So we're excited to get this final development plan approved. What I'd like to do is introduce our team members. We have several team members here that can answer a bunch of questions if you have them. One is Pastor Drew. He's the seller of the property. He's been very great to work with and instrumental in getting this done. So appreciate it, Pastor. Jay Stewart is behind me. He's with Stewart Land Use. You're familiar with Jay. He's been a part of the BPUD process for the last couple of years. He's helping us with this final development plan process. Daniel Kiley is our project manager. He's there in the audience. He's worked real closely with civil engineers and county engineers for the road design. Actually with us remotely is Mike McGrath. Mike could not be here tonight, but he's with the developer for Tidal Wave Car Wash. Also behind me is Michael Takis. He's the project manager for Tidal Wave Car Wash. And then Mike Jacobson is here. Where's Mike? Oh, I saw it. So Mike Jacobson is with M&A Design. He was the one that designed the Starbucks. And then Michael Seeger is with Choice One. He is the civil engineer for the development. So we have our team here that can answer any questions that you might have. We have read the staff report, and we're in agreement with staff's comments, the recommendations, and their conditions of approval. So we're in agreement with that. Jay is going to go through the development in a little bit more detail with some slides, but before he does that, I think Pastor Drew would like to say a few words.
So help you God, it's so easy for me, you know. It's good to see all of you. I have been at this podium several times over the last few years. We appreciate everything that the township has done to support this project. We believe it is going to be just a huge blessing across the board. We've owned property longer than most that is being developed and sold. We have brought our own team that paved the way with Jay Stewart, Kleinger's Engineering, and we really do believe every single thing has been considered, and it will be just really a boon to the township and to all those that will use it. We do want to say that we are in complete support of BASIS and the development process. We hope to continue our relationship with them from now and through other property that, as you well know, you've approved the entire BPUD process. We have other property we would like to sell. This will be a blessing to the church, as we will be debt-free when this happens, this vote. And that's huge for us, especially after all that churches have been through since COVID and the pandemic. So this is going to be a real help to all of us, as well as our standing in the community, because we would not ask you to approve something or bring a developer to this point unless we believed it was the right thing. And so many eyes have been on this project, so many professionals, well beyond my education as a pastor, although now I think I can add the shingle of land developer. We hope that tonight you will, because of the incredible work that the township has done, and we want to thank Chuck and Julie as well, that Ken Geist as well has been involved from very early on till now. We hope that this will be an easy vote for you this evening. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jay Stewart. Good to see you all again. Thank you for having us. It's great to be here. As Jerry said, I started working with Pastor Drew and the church team upwards of 4 years ago. So it's great to get to the goal line, if you will, and actually see it come to life. I'm just going to run through a few slides here. Again, Mr. Goins gave a great overview as usual. I'll try to minimize my overlap. So there you see the overall PUD plan as was approved a few months ago. You'll see Tidal Wave Auto Spa in the lot number 1. That's on the corner. And then you'll see Starbucks lot number 2. That leaves Basis Companies, Mr. Royce. That leaves them with lot number 3 out with frontage on Princeton. And certainly we have all the back property, which, as we had been saying for years, that's going to take a little bit longer to develop, but certainly there's people who are looking at that, so the market's good for that. So that's the overview. Next one, please. Next slide. Just want to throw a few 3D renderings up there that we had submitted in the packet for you. Again, as Mr. Goins said, that's the Starbucks facility. We do meet all the design guidelines in terms of exterior materials and architectural guidelines that we put into place as part of the PUD that applies to the whole development. You'll see there again, we've got the brick, we got the composite wood, very natural and almost rustic looking. You'll notice the outdoor patio that is situated towards Gilmore Road. That's the front door to the Starbucks there. Okay, next slide, please. Go back, one more. Thank you. There's a site plan. That's a very clean version of it without utilities and such on there, but wanted to make it easier to read. So again, you can see the Starbucks building situated down there towards the south of the property, towards the Princeton end. You'll see where the access point, and again, has been mentioned, Butler County has approved, obviously the roadway plans and the access points for both these projects. So you can see where you have a loop design for the internal traffic flow there. We also, on this site, have two connections to sidewalks, one out in front of Princeton, and then you can see the one going up there that will be built to public spec up there on Gilmore Road, that sidewalk. Next slide, please. So again, this is a little bit more detailed, the building elevations for Starbucks. Again, this shows the variety of the exterior building materials on the four sides, the four faces of the buildings, fair amount of glass as well. And again, a very natural tone, rustic, natural materials, again, in line with the design guidelines. Next one, please. And finally, on the Starbucks plan, wanted to show you the proposed ground-mounted sign. Again, as you can see, it's got the matching and complementary brick foundation and base there. Fairly minimal, a sign face using their logo. It's in compliance with the height and square footage and face square footage. And as Mr. Goen said, we don't have any problem with certainly putting landscaping around that monument sign as well as the title one. And that would go up front, obviously, on the Princeton Road frontage. Next slide. And so here we have lot number 1. This is Tidal Wave Auto Spa. Okay. Again, this is a little bit better than the 3D rendering. These are actual photos of a tidal wave. I believe they have approximately 100 or so of these sites around in operation. And again, very similar, again, I would say in natural earth tones and rustic and natural feel to the Starbucks materials. You'll see a lot of stone, some brick there. As Mr. Goen said, these sites do feature the canopy, which is somewhat of an upgrade for this type of use, which with the canopy covering not only parking spaces, but the vacuum facilities. Okay, next slide, please. So here's the site plan for Tidal Wave. And again, just hitting on some high points. You can see the access point. Again, it's we've worked with and made some changes to, subject to the county engineer, your engineer's comments on that. You can see coming off of Gilmore Road, you can see the queuing area before they get to the pay center. And as it goes, again, in a circular fashion around the site. You can see that dark rectangle in the middle. That is the canopy that has the parking spaces and the vacuum cleaning facilities. Okay. One item to note, if you recall with the last PUD meeting that we had on that approval, you'll see that drop right or that right-hand turn lane coming off of Gilmore. We showed it on the plans because it was approved on the plans. But again, at that time, if you recall, we did not know what type of user, and users like restaurants and other users really like and need something like that. This user did not. So again, when the infrastructure actually goes in, that will not be a part of it. Again, so I just don't want to confuse you. We just put it on, left it on there because it was approved. Doesn't get built. Okay. Next slide, please. And again, more detailed tidal wave architecture. Here's 4 building faces. Again, emphasizing a lot of transparency, a lot of glass work here. And again, those natural materials with the stone look. I will say that we just realized recently, or Mr. Goins let us know, that if you see that middle side view where it has Tidal Wave Auto Spa, the sign that's above the gutter line, I believe your code calls that a roof sign, and that's not permitted. So we will be taking that down or moving it. And again, as Mr. Goins said, we'd be asking that we could work with staff to a different location. So it's not above the gutter line, not on the roof. Okay. Okay. Next one, please. Again, here's the ground-mounted monument sign for Tidal Wave. Again, you can see it's bringing in the same natural stone materials that's on the actual buildings. And again, we would be, at staff's request, we would be putting foundational landscaping around this one as well. Like Starbucks, this will obviously go out on the Princeton Road frontage. Otherwise, this complies in terms of height and in square footage. Last one, please. And the final slide, we had choice one, color up, the combo site plan, if you will, but really wanted to just point out some of the landscaping that's going on. In your package, you've got the black and white version where you can see more of the detail of the landscaping, but again, wanted to draw it out with some color. A lot of landscaping, very robust, I think, going on in these two sites. You've got the trees going around kind of the perimeter of the sites. And then it's tough to see there, but in many perimeter areas of the parking areas, you have perimeter lower level bushes and shrubbery. Again, the idea is we're trying to soften the asphalt feel, and we're also, from public view, we're trying to soften, views of cars that are parked. Okay. So again, a lot of landscaping, and again, report recommendation about putting more landscaping in between the trees out there on Princeton Road. We understand that, and we will be doing that. So we would again ask that if we could work with staff in locating the additional landscaping out there, we'll certainly be happy to do that. So I just wanted to run through it real quick. I'm sure you have maybe more detailed questions, and that's why we brought the whole team here for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for addressing concerns I had about the staging. I'm satisfied with the answer you gave me, so thank you for addressing that. That's all I have.
Trustee McAbey?
Not this time, but
Okay, thank you for the thoroughness, and I like the landscaping. I think that'll be a nice touch for that corridor. Anything further? Okay, thank you. I believe that's our first resolution this evening, or motion shortly.
so I guess I didn't realize that. I thought some other people were going to speak. How much land does that leave? You got the gas station and then these two. How much land is left? All along the back?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, an acre for lot number 3, which is right next to it. And then in the back is roughly 4.5 acres in the back. Will still remain.
It's about half of what was there.
Yes.
And where are we on the gas station?
The gas station. Oh, Casey's.
At this point, not that you can't hear.
Online people might want to hear what you have to say.
I can understand. We have been in, I would call it short contact with Casey's off and on. Their plan is to build. One of the things that Casey's did do for us as a church is that they were willing to postpone some of their development in order to be able to work out the required change in driveway. And Jay, I know you're here somewhere. I don't know if you want to speak to how that is, but the driveway to the back of Casey's that's where it will now be located because of, we're into phase 2 development. Is that, you're nodding, so I'm okay. Yeah, okay, great. So that's one of the reasons that they postponed, because we had obligations to the township and the county to meet. And had they put that in this summer, we would have turned right around and had to make the change. So they've been very open to that. But in all honesty, to know exactly when they're going to begin, as Ken Geist told me when I first met him 4 years ago, I've worked with Casey's, and they're not in a hurry to do anything. So that's pretty much been the case. But we have no indication that they're not going to follow through with their plans and whatever the timeline is that's been set with their approvals.
So the modification to their driveway has been approved by the township?
No, you had already approved that in the BPUD phase 2, where we would be responsible to relocate that. That's already a part of the BPUD approved process. They would have been able to have a simple driveway in off of the Gilmore spot if they had been singular. And that's what we were looking at the beginning. But they waited, and because they waited and did not build, then with our new partnership with Basis Development, that would require, it would have required us to move it, but we don't have to because they never built.
And what's going to be the total valuation of the property after these 3 are built, you think?
I'm not sure how to answer that. Casey's plus what you're building, I really don't have those numbers.
You
And
got Casey's, you got a gas station, you got a car wash, and a coffee shop, right?
yes, sir. So I don't know what the ultimate cost of their buildings are. I can tell you what costs were for development of Casey's pad ready, just to get the dirt spot ready.
We're looking for the value of the whole project when it's done, and of course, this is about half of it. So.
Is that something that you're asking the church to bring to the trustees?
I thought maybe somebody could tell us what the valuation of
So
Starbucks is going to be, and
If you're looking at the buildings for, I can speak for lots 1, 2, and 3. So you're looking at probably $5 million roughly, and that depends on that third lot and who that's going to be. We are in conversation with a prominent breakfast brunch national chain that we're trying to wrestle down. That would fit very nicely with this project. We think that would be around $5 million between those 3 lots, and then obviously the valuation in the back.
Oh, and then I don't know what Casey's is looking to spend at this point for the building of their facility as well. So
do you have any idea how many employees will be working for those 2 that you have?
Michael, do you know for title, how many?
I mean, typically it would be 5 tenants
At the site, so different shifts.
8 to 8, so probably at least.
Okay, so 10 there, and then Starbucks, depending on shifts, that would be another, let's call it 15 to 20 folks.
Any idea
I
what
can
kind
get
of-
those numbers. I can get firmer numbers.
Any idea what the average salary or pay is going to be? What the payroll will be at each place? Will you have it? You have it for one of the other sites for the spa place?
I'm sure that information is somewhere in the rest of
We can get that information, both employee salary, number of employees and salaries.
And that's, you said the car wash is 8 to 8, 7 days a week.
I believe so. It does adjust seasonally.
Hours do.
Yeah.
Or,
In the winter, they shorten up.
Mm. What about Starbucks? You know what hours they're thinking about operating?
It has changed from location to location. 5 a.m. to 10 o'clock. as I think typical, but I can double check that.
Any idea what kind of traffic that the two of them are gonna pull off of there, put on that little side street?
No, other than our engineers, we're comfortable with it. The users are comfortable with it. Starbucks, they take their site plans very seriously, and they're comfortable with the use next door, and then also with the site plan as it sits right now.
Starbucks is comfortable.
So it's
You've been by a
title.
Starbucks that didn't have traffic backed out into the street? Can we get one like that here where it's not backed out into the street?
Well, if you look at the site plan, I mean the queuing for it is probably like 20 cars. They really only look at or would like 10. So the way this site plan has been designed, there's plenty of queuing.
20 cars.
Yes, something like that.
And how quickly are these things gonna move?
We would.
Quicker than Casey's?
Yes, so we would like to, so we've worked very hard on the road design. We would love to start the road design this year, okay? There's some issues with some materials and getting materials yet this year. So worst case scenario is we would start it when the asphalt plants open back up in February. So we're working with our subcontractors, our engineers to try to work as quickly as we can. After that time, Starbucks, we would love to have their shell building delivered to them in June of next year. Okay. And as far as title, kind of on the same track as far as early next year to start building. But our plans are to move quickly with this. We've been working on it a long time.
We'd like to ask you to keep all that construction traffic on Princeton Road, the west part of, east part of it, and the bypass.
Oh, gotcha.
Don't want you on Gilmore Road. Certainly don't want you in Walden Ponds. Be enough traffic coming over to get their coffee. That'll offset that in the end. But stay on Princeton east from the entrance, and
Sure. Okay.
I'm a little concerned about that 10 o'clock closing time for Starbucks, so I'd like to, just because if that gets too late for the residents, I don't remember what the Casey's closing time was, but I would just want to make sure that we're not any later than that, just out of respect for residents.
Sure.
Okay,
I can find out.
okay.
I will just simply say, there was with Casey's, I don't know what they landed on, but one of the things that in one of the meetings that we were in, they talked about some Casey's are open 24 hours. So certainly, I don't know how Starbucks will parallel that, but they're not open 24 hours.
Well, and the other thing too is I suppose the markets will decide too, because if we don't have residents that want to be out there
Right.
after, say, 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, then
They
they
close
probably
at 9.
won't.
I looked
Oh,
at all the
okay.
Starbucks here locally, so it's
Okay.
9 o'clock.
Okay. Anything further from anyone? Okay. Thank you. All right, the next item that we have is in regards to a public hearing on Resolution 111-2020 regarding 2025 Milton Street. And it says there's no hearing at this time, continuance requested.
Correct. So the land bank is in negotiation on those properties. Their attorney, Mary Dudley, may be able to negotiate using the land bank money to secure that property, and then in which case a continuance or a hearing would not be needed. So right now, we just put it as a continuance, but we'll know more by next week.
Okay, so do we need to take any action on this? Okay, so we'll know that possibly at the next meeting,
Their attorney was fine with continuing it, so.
okay.
we don't need a motion to continue. How about a motion to close the last public hearing? Do you need that?
You never had one, I don't think, on this.
It was advertised as a public hearing, though, right?
No?
Okay, all right. The next item, we have regulation of commercial vehicles.
So this, we are bringing it back around. As everyone will recall, there was some discussion about the size of commercial vehicles that should be allowed in the township on properties in the right of way. And a series of focus groups were done with the residents who came in and offered input. So we are just revisiting this to see how the board would like to proceed from here. If there's specific questions, Chuck has done more of the detail work than I have, but I'm looking more for guidance on where would you like us to head next. And I believe Mr. Goins you did make some adjustments based on recommendations. I thought we had added the right of way as like we had discussed all that, making the amendments, but we haven't pushed that further.
Yeah, currently we haven't pushed any changes to the zoning resolution since we've had those focus groups. So yeah, at this point, we're just, I guess, feeling out the board to see how they would like to proceed.
These focus groups took place before I took office. So if it's possible to get a summary of what the focus groups said and the recommendations that were made prior to that, and then maybe what recommendations are going to be made, so we could have a discussion at a future meeting, that would be great.
Yeah, and if you could also get him just any of the other information on feedback from other residents regarding the same thing, focus group, the prior policy, and if you even wanted to meet with Mr. Goins and get some of the more granular picture of what that was all about too, that would probably be a good thing too. But I'd suggest it's time to dust that off, revisit it, and either confirm what we have or revise it somewhat. So we could all start to do our homework on that, and then we can look at working on that again, maybe fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm in favor of looking at the information. It's been sitting there for a while. I think it's time for us to take a look at it and go one way or the other with it.
So we will summarize and get that to the board.
It's great.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, we have the Veterans Memorial update.
You're taller.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to, I'm hopeful, briefly give you an update. You got the report, so I'm certainly not going to read it to you, but there are several things that are important to highlight. First of all, the Veterans Day observance program will be on Thursday, November 10th. So we've taken the recommendations from the administration and other folks in the veterans world. It'd be a lot easier if we could have our event the day before Veterans Day. So that's what we're doing. If you'll notice on there, John Lomax, formerly of Channel 12, early morning anchor for a good number of years, has agreed to be our MC for the event. And we even got the blessing of Jim Scott about that. So you remember Jim was our MC last year. Also, Race, I'll never be able to pronounce his name, Sandaker, is going to be our keynote speaker, our primary speaker. He was the load master in Saigon at the airport in 1975. when the young children were being loaded to be taken to the States. These would have been mixed ethnic, racial, and those children would have been in high risk if they would have stayed in Vietnam, probably. And he will talk about those stories. Those children, of course, who are adults now, continue to have reunions every year, giving thanks and glory that they were able to escape what might have been a terrible situation there. So anyway, Ray will be our speaker. Some of you may not recognize that name, but maybe this will help. He's also Hal McCoy's driver. So if that helps. Of course, some people don't know who Hal McCoy is probably. He's the Reds columnist for the Daily News. So anyway, we are working with the schools as usual. We will connect with the police department on the parameters that they want to have followed. And as has been in the past, the schools are thrilled to continue the participation. We would like to have some feedback. Last year, we ended up needing to move indoors and it ended up having some advantage for the program. This year, we're juggling not only what may be the weather that day, but whether construction has actually begun at the site. So those are factors we're taking into consideration. So we'll be in communication with that. Talking about the site, you're probably wondering, well, why are you giving me another pamphlet? Okay, if you look in the inside of the pamphlet that has the drawings of the memorial, if you look at the surface, those are primarily pavers. We will not have pavers. It will be all stamped concrete. It will be different colors. And the company that we are working with, Supracrete, they have 35 years of experience in this type of work as well as colorized concrete. So one reason I want to bring this up, they feel like they can get in there in November to start the site work. And I know some people may never believe that because they probably say, Valerius, you've been saying we were going to do this how many times, but we are going to be able to start this time around because we have the money as well as the backing of the state capital funds. The important thing to share with the community, part of the community has been irritated because we haven't started the project. Now we're going to have some people who are going to be irritated because it's going to interfere with the playground, okay? So it's going to be very important. The contractor is responsible for putting up the fencing to protect the area, but that is something I'm sure we'll talk to Jeff about his ideas on that so that we don't interfere any more than we have to. But again, we don't want a safety issue there, and our playground certainly gets well used. In kind of the other thing I guess I wanted to highlight, we did have the golf outing last week. I want to thank the cooperation and support we got from the township. We sort of compete with ourselves when we have a golf outing because that's a fundraising thing, and we're competing with ourselves in a sense of trying to get people to buy plaques. So it's an interesting kind of situation. But looking at fundraising, the other thing I want to mention about the pamphlet is that we're going to be upgrading that so that it is more accurate as to what that final look is going to be as opposed to what it looked like 4 years ago. So, but again, we want to encourage people, particularly looking towards Veterans Day, if people want to be on the wall, be that as a veteran or be that as a member of their family that they want to recognize or honor, now's the time to step up. We, as part of our program, we are going to have a listing of those who donated. So if you want to be on the listing in the program, you need to donate. So pass that word out there in the community. If people are kind of like, well, I'll wait until they actually do some work or whatever, the work's coming. And so by next Memorial Day, we should have the installation of phase 1 and 2. And if the state capital funds come in promptly, we should be able to also have the flagpoles, which are the key part of phase 3. So that's kind of where we are with that. At some later juncture, we'll probably have a little bit of a presentation from the folks with Hamilton Foundation, because they are now have taken over the back office work for the Fairfield Community Foundation. So, and that may be kind of like, well, what's that all mean? Well, that's why I'm just teasing you a little bit with that. But it is good news, and it is they have resources that the Fairfield Community Foundation did not, financially as well as office-wise. So that will help us. It'll keep the fee structure practically zero for us. So that sounds good. So anyway, that's all I have to share. We like your assistance on feedback on anything, as well as promoting the Veterans Day event.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda under old business and items for board discussion is the Fairfield Township policy, property names, and name changes. Trustee Birding?
Thank you, Trustee Huckenberger. Last meeting, we had a discussion about our current policy for naming properties and name changes. And then we decided to bring it back for discussion for this meeting. And I'm just open the floor to any comments that were as it relates to the policy that was submitted. Anything new that you'd like to add, or any comments you have based on the proposed changes?
I like the idea of having the petition and some kind of an overview of what that is about. I think too, we need to encourage people to put things out in Heroes Park too, because it's Heroes Park and it's a great way to recognize people out there. I think we have a couple benches out there, so I think that's something we need to make sure people know they can do too.
Okay. Trustee McAbey?
I think we would all know when we talk about an individual that has lived, worked, served here in the township. I think we could all tell when somebody deserves the honor of being designated to have something named after them. Like the bridge, Barney Landry Bridge, here, all those years of service. I don't think we need to be tied down to restrictions on voters, registered or unregistered, things like that. So I think that people ought to submit to us ideas, and as a board, we could investigate and decide on based on the merit of each one of those. Nothing personal, but just, again, people that have spent a lot of time, energy, maybe money, supporting the youth of the township or growth of the township, service, other ways. I think we would know. I think we would know who should have something named after them.
Well, I think and that's a great point you brought up. Part of it is it could be somebody that has done this work 50 years ago, and someone that 20 years from now that may be a trustee or whatever is not familiar with the person that is being nominated to be honored. And I think if the person to be honored has done that much work for our community, to find 30 people, residents that are willing to support that, I don't think would be very difficult. And I think that adds some meat to the application. I think that if just one person is coming up and saying, I'd like this person to be honored, it's hard to gauge the will of the community. And what we're just here as officers of the voters and the community members. And we need to do what their will is. And I think by having 30 registered voters sign an application is not asking a lot for an applicant to do. It does put some weight behind it. It adds the seriousness of the request. If we don't have that, we might get, not that we're getting it now, but we could potentially get, 5 requests a month of people just saying, oh, I'd like my sister to be honored because she volunteered at cleanup day for 5 years. And we had to go through that process of figuring out, well, is this person really deserving of such an honor? And people, I know a lot of residents have lived here their entire lives, and but in the future there could be a trustee that sits in one of these seats as new to the community, and they may have only been around for 5-10 years and not know the history behind someone that's going to be honored. And so I'm sort of protecting that I guess the integrity of the nomination by having it have someone that could at least have 30 signatures on an application. I do hear what you're saying. Maybe we should know these people. And of course, someone like Mr. Landry, obviously everyone knows who Barney Landry is, and that's an easy thing. But there might be some asks of some citizens who have a nominee that's not as well known, but still is well deserving. And I think they should be considered as well. So those are just my recommendations. Again, I'm not married to it. I'm open to suggestions, but I just think that anyone that comes before the trustees that is requesting something to be named in someone's honor, there should be some sort of process. And that process should be followed so that whoever requests it at least gets an answer. But we just don't let it not get a response. And so that was the whole reasoning behind this, I guess, amendment to the policy that we have, so that every request, it's up to the trustees. They owe the requester an answer. So that was what my thought process was. And but I understand where you're coming from.
I mean, we had a situation a couple of years ago when we developed a policy and we had more than 30 signatures, but it still didn't go anywhere. I think there's still some responsibility by the person submitting the name and the trustees to investigate and the service that we are on. So I don't think getting 30 names or not getting 30 names is the only difference. Because realistically, anybody could get 30 names. People sign anything. So
sure.
And I think we should consider any suggestion and, as you say, provide an answer.
Okay, I mean, I'm willing to be flexible on that number of signature. I still think there should be some sort of petition. Even in this day and age, there's even a lot of online petitions for, the change.org is a huge website now that's out there. If people want something done, they'll sign a petition. And I think signing a petition, having 30 people in a community sign a petition to say, we want this done, it holds a little bit of water. And if we just have one family come up and say, we want this done to honor my sister, brother, neighbor, does that really hold the weight of the whole community as it would be? So that was my thought process. But I'm flexible on if you want people on the petition. If you don't want people on the petition, this is a group discussion and a group decision. So I'm looking. Trustee Harkemeyer, do you have any input on that?
I kind of like a blending of both of your ideas. Actually, I think the petition is a good thing, but I think in addition to that, it does need to be something where we would know. And perhaps the petition process is something where we can be educated on that too. But it should be something that I think there needs to be some sort of weight. This is something, someone has done something. It's not, well, my next door neighbor worked at Township Cleanup Day 5 times. It needs to be more weighted than that. So to Trustee McAbee's point, it is something where we should know. But I also like the idea of having a petition or some sort of where that weight is there, where it is people saying, look, we're interested in having this done. Because what happens later on if someone says, well, here's just this, I've come in, I want this named after my neighbor, and does it really have the weight of that? And I think having that 30 signatures and some conversations with the board would get that done.
Yeah, the 30 signatures is not trying to alleviate the responsibility of the trustees to do their due diligence, to do the research of who the nominee is and the work that they've done. I think that's very important. I'm not saying that that should go away. If we have 30 people that want something done, we just automatically rubber stamp it. But I think that does add a little bit of validity to the request. And again, that's just my opinion. But I'll do what the will of the board is. I'll be happy to adjust it, come back with a different number, agree to a different number, whatever is the will of the board. So as it stands now, the current policy, I believe there is a number of signatures that are to be brought forth, but there's just not a form. If I remember correctly, there might have been a 20 or 25 number that's in the policy, and I apologize for not having that number available. Mrs. Vonderhaar, do you happen to have that available? Again, part of this is also that the policy would be on our website. How to go about it would be readily available for the residents. So that's not some, how do I go about having this done?
The other thing too is we can do some more research on this and talk about it at the next meeting too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that has to be done right away. But
Yeah, we could, Mrs. Vonderhaar could get that additional information and we could look at this further.
So I would suggest maybe at the October meeting, if you have any recommendations to what was submitted in August, to maybe come back with it, and so that we can have the document in front of us and adjust it as necessary.
Okay.
Thank you for participating in that.
All right, we'll circle back to that in October. Okay, the next item, the CDBG contract for Milton Park fundraising. Mrs. Vonderhaar?
Thank you. So we've been working with Karen Gabbard. She is basically she replaced Desmond Maytal. She's the community development specialist for Butler County. And if you'll recall, we received a grant in the total of $160,000. So right now we're working on an agreement that would allow us to go to bid on the project because the project is over $50,000. Once a subcontractor, a contractor is secured, then the county will go to contract with us on the $160 full amount. I think we're at a point where once we get that agreement secured, we need to go to bid. But before that, we need to bring somehow we need to come up with a conceptual plan about what the board would desire at this park. So we have the one that was created. How does the next one look? Does it include a basketball hoop? Is it different than the one that to complement and give other options? So I wonder if the board would consider what they're looking for, and we could bring that back at the next meeting, maybe. If that makes sense.
How far away is this park from the other park?
Well, we've looked at a couple properties. It's
okay.
virtually on the other side.
Okay, so it's going to be enough different and a little bit further away.
It's on the other side of Tooley Road. So
Okay.
we're looking at properties on Milton specifically. There's a couple of lots there.
Okay. So I think it might be interesting to do it a little bit differently than what we have, just because that way it could be a different attraction. I don't know what others think about that, but I think it should be a little bit different for some variety.
I'm in agreement. I would like to see it a little bit different than what we already have in the 5 Points area. And do we still have a parks committee that meets, or is that?
Doesn't meet regularly. We could probably try to bring that back. Chuck also did a mock-up of a possible design, so we could, if it helps, we could send that with a couple other ideas. And it did complement the other park. Because when we asked to apply for the grant, you had brought that, and it did include like a basketball court. It just was a little bit tweaked differently than the other park to appeal to a broader age range and a different set of activities. So if it's easiest, we could send that with some other ideas and just give you information to get you thinking so that when we come back, the board could give firm direction on what they like next meeting, possibly.
Okay, so yeah, I like that idea. Let's get some mock-ups sent out, include the things that were sent with the grant, and then we can take a look at that and maybe put some thoughts together about what we're looking for in October so we can move forward with that, if everyone is in agreement with that plan.
Yes, is there a timeline to receive these funds?
I don't know that, Chuck, do you?
At
It
this
took a while
point-
for
at
them
this
to
point,
release it, to get to the point where we even got to
We've-
the agreement because
Yeah.
Karen's new.
Yeah, we have plenty of time at this point. They've been kind of mulling over the form of their contract. And they've just kind of provided us with the version they're comfortable with at this point. Timeline wise, it's kind of open. The funds expire upon the date that the funds are allocated to the project. So it's pretty open. I would like to move.
Well, if it's
I'd
similar
like
to
to
the
move.
other CDBG and the other ARPA, that's all 2024. So my guess would be it falls somewhere along that same, but we'll definitely touch base with Karen on that.
It'd be nice to get it in by next summer, I think, so the kids can enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure we could get a few Parks Committee people together and take a look at it and give Chuck some feedback.
I would be interested in hearing that.
See what I can do.
Okay, great. So we'll look forward to getting some more ideas on that. Okay, next item, communication. This is the portion of the meeting where you, the residents of Fairfield Township, are invited to share your thoughts with the board. Please know that this time has been set aside from the board to listen to you. Your comments are valued and will be taken into careful consideration. The board will not engage in dialogue at this time. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes each. We have first on the list, Maria Tangi.
Hi, guys.
Please state your name and address for the record, please. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Maria Tangi. I'm at 1891 Harvard Street, but I'm here representing 1884 Harvard Street, where we have 5 Points Community Garden. This pumpkin's actually from my house, but this squash is from the garden. Hold on, let me show you the. Oh, we got a little mini watermelon. So, we're on year 1 of the garden and we're wrapping up. We're getting, letting some things go to seed and getting it ready to settle down for the winter and make some new adjustments for next year. We learned a lot this year about what the property is capable of and what we need to do to amend the soils and amend how we grow. So over the next couple of months, we'll be having some meetings at the garden, weather permitting. So pay attention on Facebook if you would like to come and participate and maybe give your opinions or get involved. Next year, the goal is to have people have their own little pieces of gardening available. So please come see us. October 22nd, we will have pumpkin carving and painting. Carving is depending on tools because that's, can be dangerous for kids. But I already have about 10 people signed up and I only have about 10 pumpkins. So I will be putting out requests for pumpkin donations from the township or the residents, either or. And if you would like to be a participant in the pumpkin carving and painting, go ahead and sign up online at the Facebook page or email me at maria@fivepointscommunitygarden.org. Okay, I do want to make one comment about the Milton Park. I would recommend a basketball court. That is a definite thing that you see the kids in the neighborhood in 5 Points playing basketball a lot. So there's that. I just wanted to add that. I also have an ask this winter coming up or fall: wood chips, any organic compost material so that we can amend our soil. And if anybody has a trenching tool, that might be something we need for the for the spring. So just keep your ears open if you have any of those things. Let me see what else are in my notes. Hold on. Let's see, meetings, plot, and I have one ask from the township, and this, I just want you to chew on this. I'm thinking maybe 5 Points Community Garden could maybe put a little garden in the middle of the roundabout and sponsor a little flower garden or a big flower garden in the roundabout. Just chew on it. We'll talk about it later. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on, now, let's see, Pastor Wilkerson and Mr. Stewart, your names are on here, but I'm assuming you don't want to make public comment at this time. Okay. Next, we have Sean and Andrea Carlock. Please approach and state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Sean Carlock, 7348 Morris Road. I've been up here multiple times. I'm really getting tired of coming up here. I'm not going to come up here 12 times a year to talk about this runoff. The lake runoff is overgrown. You can't even tell it's a lake runoff anymore. And then it's funneling to from a 42-inch pipe to a 36-inch pipe. It's too small at the street. The land is so overgrown. It's hard to me. It rains. It automatically floods. And I think Mr. McAbee is doing about this for 15 years and nothing's been done about it. You told me last month when I was outside that you were going to look into it. I haven't heard anything. We like the answers. We like answers, please.
I agree with you. As I told you, I don't want to take your 3 minutes, okay? So I'll answer you when you're done.
Just the debris from the lake runoff. We cleaned it up. The last flood we had, it cleaned up. I told her don't clean it up, lay it out in the street so people can see the debris that's coming from the Ashcott Downs. We got dead fish. I'm getting firewood from their camps or whatever, their firewood up there. I'm getting sticks, everything. It floods the drain. If I don't clean it off, it's going to end up flooding the rest of the house. It's going to end up flooding all over the place. So next time I just don't clean it up no more. We're going to put it out by the street. Then the township can come and clean it up. I'm tired. I don't want to call. I'm tired of calling and coming in. And nobody cares. Nobody cares.
You don't mean
It's sickening. It's frustrating. It seemed like everybody knew about this watershed coming from this, and nobody told us. We're not from Fairfield. No one told us. It seems shady. It's upsetting. Every time it rains, we're fighting. My daughter's running into our room. It's sickening. And it's not just affecting our home. There's dozens of houses coming from the north side, the south side. Water's coming down every time it rains on the south side of our house. And it's not just our house. Do we need a petition? Do we need to go out and get signatures to say, fix this from here all the way down? You start here, and then it goes all the way down. It's just a domino effect.
Thank you. Okay, and that's it for public comments for tonight. May we have the fiscal officer's recommendations and reports, please?
The only thing I had is that I know you guys don't want to think about next year yet, but I am making my schedule for tax season. So if Tuesday nights are going to get changed for the trustee meeting, I'm just asking that you give me a heads up. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, so that is a good import. That's the thing, because during, as a CPA, Mrs. Schultz does have to set her tax schedule calendar. So what are our thoughts on Tuesdays versus Wednesdays? I'd also recommend doing some morning meetings once in a while too. There might be some residents that could come in the morning, but I know it's a little soon.
And I don't have to know this right now,
Okay,
but
so we need to think about it.
just think about it.
Okay.
Is the Tuesdays created a problem for anybody?
No, I like Tuesdays. It works better for me than Wednesdays.
I mean, we're still getting the staff reports on Friday, so
Mhm.
I mean, Tuesdays work.
Works for me.
So we don't intend to change it.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Might be more than just one Tuesday is
That's
business
fine.
required.
I can make Tuesdays my day off totally. And then that way, if it's all 4 Tuesdays, that works for
That
me.
means you'll be in here working.
I am every Tuesday. Okay. I just wanted to bring that up ahead of time. And
Okay.
just in case Tuesdays wasn't working, that we could plan ahead of time. That's all I really had.
And Mrs. Schultz, I'd like to congratulate you. I believe you
Thank you.
just took the 3rd test out of a series of 3 tests to become, what is it,
Certified Government Financial Manager.
so in addition to being a CPA, she is a certified
Government Financial Manager.
and
Thank you.
how many other fiscal officers in Butler County hold that designation?
None.
So we've got you. Nice. So congratulations on that. Fairfield Township is lucky to have that skill set here in our office. So congratulations and well done.
I'm glad to be done studying. Took 3 years. Thank you.
Okay, I move to suspend the reading of the minutes from the regular meeting of August 9th, 2022.
Second?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes,
that passes. Motion to approve.
Second?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
yes,
that passes.
I move to pay the bills.
second,
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
yes,
that passes. Administrators report, please.
Thank you. So Mr. Valerius took care of the veterans update, which I would have given. And the Youth Coalition, you introduced, and just a little background on that. We've met, there's 9 students, and they each have different areas of government they're interested in exploring. And this is something that Fairfield City and the mayor put together and then invited the township to join. So we're very lucky to have these 9 students that live in the township and go to Fairfield City Schools that want to learn more about government. And it was a pleasure to meet with them last week. We have their lanyards. We're starting a plan on schedule on how we'll work things out. It'll look slightly different than the city, but it'll work here. And I think we're making sure it'll be beneficial for them as well as doable for the township. So we're excited about that. So I'm glad you're all here.
And you're Fairfield Township residents, right? Nice. Good.
Correct. Dan Dieters did the energy aggregation and gas aggregation. I was going to talk about that. There are some fun upcoming events, which we will talk about at the end of the meeting. The second half tax settlement hit, which that really could have been you or I saying that, but that's been posted. So then that brings me to the final 2 issues. Tonight, there will be a resolution about the mutual aid for police. And just wanted to let you know that would be on there, and it's filed with the sheriff. And what that does is allows all the different entities to work together because they do cross into each other's jurisdictions. So it's an annual agreement, but that will be before you. And the only other item is the captain's positions in the fire department. So Chief he prepared a document and is looking to having an officer assigned to each shift, and feels like placing full-time officers is the most responsible plan of action for the daily management of the schedule and the 24-hour shifts. So one of the things he had discussed a while back was that that the board considers captains as the first 24, 48-hour staff members, and this would be to provide leadership. There is interest within the department with some of the experienced, longtime employees that I firmly believe would bring a knowledge base, a leadership, and some stability. And I think it would be an absolute positive benefit to Fairfield Township. So Chief has worked with the union to address the potential hiring and how they would look at qualified candidates and how to hire laterally. And he's ironed out an agreeable situation with the union. And the main point I wanted to address was just to let you know this is to help solidify the command and leadership structure of the department. And again, with the applicants that have expressed interest, I just don't think it could be a better scenario given the environment and how hard it is to hire and retain. So that's really all I had. Chief Thomas, once the motion comes up, I'm sure Chief Thomas would be happy to answer any questions. He's more of the expert, of course. So that's all I had.
And it is on a first read tonight, so we can choose to take action on that, or we can choose to gather more data and put it on a future meeting, correct?
That is correct. Thank you.
Just a good time to take a break.
We'll take a break.
It's all 8:45, and those young people out there need to go home and get some sleep. We'll be here a couple more hours. I mean, you can stay if you like, but just no snoring allowed.
We can take a 5-minute break. Would that be? And you're welcome to stay, and you're welcome to go on home. It'll be a while longer, but you're welcome to stay as long as you like.
You're going to talk another couple hours.
I might. 2 or 3.
Not terrible shoes.
Yeah, they're we started a new date here.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move to continue the meeting. Under motions and resolutions, okay, I move to approve with conditions, including the staff report and stated conditions, to approve the proposed final PUD plan for Bridgewater Landings as set forth in zoning case number FTZC 22-3C, final PUD.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Well, I just wonder what the procedure is going to be since we didn't advertise it as a public hearing. I don't know how we can vote.
You haven't conducted a public hearing, this is just voting on the final.
Well, we're supposed to have a public hearing, aren't we, Chuck, for the final PUD?
No,
So-
final PUD plans are administrative
So
in
nothing.
nature. So all they require is the board, whoever the board is, which is the trustees, to review the plans and make a motion on that.
So we shouldn't have been calling the public hearing.
Ready? Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee Mackabee.
No.
and that passes. The next motion is to accept the resignation of Garrett Hawkins from the Public Works Department.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee Mackabee.
Yes.
and that passes. Okay, so the next item here is one that we have as a first read. So do we want to entertain some discussion about this one? Do we want to move forward on this? But it is to increase the maximum staffing to 8 employees, which is going to backfill the resignation that we just accepted, and then add 1 additional employee. Mr. Bennett, would you care to elaborate?
The additional employee, I feel is needed for, we're getting the additional subdivision over off of Liberty Fairfield Road. And I feel that within the past 2 years, as we've went from 5 employees to 7 employees, we've shown what we're capable of doing. I've had numerous compliments from residents and stuff on the parks. As we've brought up in different meetings and asked for various, types of equipment and stuff, we're trying to broaden out on, our abilities of what we can do and what we want to do. And I just want to continue that process to continue to try to improve and do more for the township. And also with the projected weather forecast that I've heard for this winter, it would be rather nice to have 8 employees. So, any other questions?
Yes, what's the proposed salary, including benefits of an employee? What would that do to your budget?
Ms. Bondahar can comment on that.
Approximately 50,000.
Plus-
50,000 total, including benefits?
Correct.
They make at least 40 to start, right? Health insurance is
I don't think so.
15, 18,000 a year.
Starting pays, what, 19, 20 bucks an hour,
So 20 times.
something like that.
Let's see, 38.
41,
Plus
6, so
retirement.
yeah, roughly around
Health
50.
insurance.
Could be 55. I mean, a family isn't $10,000, so, but you add in, yeah, I mean, roughly 50, 55.
And you have a backup snowplow, correct, for this
Yes, yes.
additional employee could
Yes, correct.
utilize?
Yes,
And do you project that that would be well within your budget for 2023 as
correct.
well?
Yes.
And I'm very pleased with the Public Works Department's performance. I'm very proud of the way that you've taken the resources that you've been given, and you've done a very good job with them, an excellent job, in fact.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate
I know
that.
that you're going to use things, and I know that you're going to take good care of the equipment, and you're going to run the department properly.
Appreciate it.
You've demonstrated that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in support of the Public Works Department. Again, we only hear great things, especially during snow events, of the work that they put in. Very few, hey, when they going to get to our street?
Right.
But eventually you get there. It's not like you're
Yeah.
not going to do it. So,
I mean, that's, my guys take a lot of pride in that, as we do in the parks and stuff. Not that they don't take pride in everything else they do, but that's our opportunity to shine. People can see, the outcome of it. Yeah.
I know we discussed this, I think back in December even, or you should let me a tour of when we drove around to see all the streets. I don't remember when that was. Maybe it was in the spring.
Yeah, I think
we talked about that, and the fact that that person would also help the upkeep of the equipment that we have. So it also protects our investment as well.
Right.
And so that's another aspect of this I like.
And we have an ongoing issue with, I have maintenance request forms from catch basins and stuff that we didn't get to last year. It's a never ending thing with catch basins and stuff like that due to a lot of these subdivisions are getting older now. There's plenty of work to add the additional person. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to get out and see some of the lateral repairs that we've done since you allowed us to purchase the heater and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, there's plenty of work for us to do to, hire that other person.
And Mr. Bennett, how long would it take you if we gave you the okay tonight? How long would it take you to fill that position?
Well, I mean, CDL is required. From my understanding, the state has handed down that we can no longer train in-house. So that's one thing that we need to try to figure out. If we do hire somebody, it's going to be hard to find somebody with a CDL. I feel to bring them in at that $19, $20 an hour. The last three candidates that we had brought in, last two candidates we brought in, we trained in-house ourselves. But from now, they have to go to like Butler Tech or Napier or something like that to an accredited, school to get that CDL license. So I don't know how the board wants to work that out. If it would be something like we do with the fire EMS, they pay for the schooling and, or the township pays for the schooling, and then they have to have a commitment for X amount of time to stay here, or how you want to go about it.
Or if we had an extra mower, we could trade, give the Butler Tech and they provide it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Works with ambulances, right?
Yeah.
There's always a solution.
Yeah.
Some type of credit with them now.
Figure something.
Are you saying that you can't hire him at all?
Yes, I can hire. He can't drive a truck.
Okay,
A
so
big
we
truck.
could hire him, he just couldn't drive
A big plow truck.
until he gets the CDL. He's got to go somewhere else to get that.
Correct.
But we could put him in a 250 with a plow on the end of it, correct? To do
Yes.
Cul-de-sacs.
Yes.
In the meantime.
Or a backhoe or
a
something
shovel,
like
give him
that.
a shovel.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he could be he literally could be on a pickup truck clearing all the lots of our
Right.
property. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea though, of we could front him the money, or if he doesn't have the money,
Yeah.
or pay for it,
Right.
just like we do with the
Mhm.
paramedics, and then get a 10-year commitment or something.
Because I've interviewed several in the past, of these younger men that have landscaping experience, have, drove a pickup truck or something like that, which they have the basic concept of how to go about removing snow. It's just that they don't have the CDL license. So, yeah.
You didn't mean that as the way.
No,
it
I'm just
sounded.
saying the
I know
ones
what
that I have interviewed have been men. I have not had any young ladies apply yet.
So the person we're losing, was that, without being specific, I mean, is he going elsewhere? He didn't like it here?
Alta
He wasn't
Fiber.
making enough money?
Didn't make enough money, he said. Some people just aren't cut out for it.
How long has he been there?
Almost 2 years, I think.
Not very long.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we're looking at moving forward with this, so we can do a motion, and I'm hearing that we could pay the CDL with him, maybe committing.
Or she.
Or she, yes, he or she can commit to maybe a 2-year time period. Otherwise, what do we do so that we have parity with police and fire? What's,
That's not even, you can't compare those two, but
I know,
does that make sense to have parity with them, or?
let's see, Tom went through it, I want to say 2 years ago. It was $6,500. So
Okay,
I'm sure it's probably gone up. I can reach out to Butler Tech and Napier and see what the cost is.
okay,
I'm sure Class B certification, which is all they need to be employed here, versus a Class A, might be a little different.
okay.
we don't want to train him and let him go somewhere else.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
We want to have some commitment from him.
Right.
We're paying that, whatever it is.
Right.
5 years, we forgive you. Otherwise, we
Mhm.
want our money back.
Right.
So CDLs, they're in high demand.
Right.
There's actually Butler Tech has a state training or testing site now as well. So they don't have to, used to be, once they finished with the classes, it was like almost a 3-month wait to get the test. And now it's like a 3-day wait.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
So, and I know that while at Butler Tech, we lobbied the federal government to lower the hours needed for Pell Grants to include CDL drivers. And so that might be out there as well.
Okay.
For those employees. But you'll have to train 2 now, because if we approve this motion, not only you're replacing one who's going to have to need a CDL,
right,
be the next one. So I guess we should offer that to any new hire that you replacement in the future, that we try to work with them, that we can offset the cost of that as long as they give us a commitment.
Right.
And then if
Agreed.
you just work with Mrs. Vonderhaar and legal as far as what is a fair commitment, given what we would be paying up front. Is that fair to say?
I think so.
I don't know how much it's going to cost.
Okay.
Right.
It's probably just as easy to train 2 new people as it is one.
Right. Yes. Mhm. Thank you.
With that being said, I move to increase the maximum staffing to the Public Works Department to 8 employees, filling the current vacancy and adding 1 employee.
Second, any further discussion?
And that's the first read, right? Can you get that information? We vote on it again, or?
I would like to do it as a first read and waiving the second reading.
It'll just be 1 reading.
1 reading. I just would like to approve that so he can get started with
Yeah.
the hiring process, because it might take some time, and then the CDL process is going to take some time. So if we do the first read now, we approve it in October, then we're looking at maybe well into the snow season before we could get someone the CDL. So that's why I think it would be important to approve it this evening.
And they won't be much help to us this year with all that snow you're forecasting.
I didn't forecast it. The barber
But
did.
It would be in the future.
Barber said he heard 4 feet. Now I asked him, I said, now is that in one dump or is it over a period of time?
Well, but he could hire someone with CDL experience as well.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about that. So,
So to clarify, we're voting on this to approve tonight,
yes.
right now. And we've got the motion and the second to approve this evening.
What are we paying?
Well, whatever the starting is for that position.
We're still going to have to pass the hiring, right? All we're doing with this is authorizing it and letting him go hire.
Correct.
Right.
Get somebody. We're still going to have to vote on the hire. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. Right. Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that
Thank you.
passes.
Welcome.
I don't know where we're going to get the money.
I'll figure it
In
out.
the back.
Well, you're an elected official. You could always come and just drive one for us.
Okay, the next item is a similar, it is on here as a first read. We could pass it tonight. And this is something the administrator did discuss this briefly. So Chief, would you like to say anything further about this?
Certainly. As you may remember, the first time we applied for the SAFER grant, it was my recommendation to apply for a grant to hire captains. And that was rejected in hand, that we felt that it wasn't important to hire leadership. However, since that time, we've added a significant number of full-time employees. The fire department has a unique operation when it comes to our current officer corps, that the majority of the officers that are assigned to shift, in fact, all of them at this point, are part-time employees. My experience is that part-time employees bossing around full-time employees is probably not in our best interest as leadership or the operation of the township. We have been very successful at blending our full-time and part-time staff together. But in reviewing some of the recent challenges that we are having with things like scheduling and report offs and filling overtime, it has become apparent that the expectation of the shift personnel is that the chief or the assistant chief should answer their phone 24/7 and handle every possible issue. And I'm here to tell you, I don't believe that's fair to the assistant chief or myself to be legitimately on call for everything 24/7. Part of the reason why this is on the table is I'm sure you all know that I anticipate leaving here in a little over 18 months. And I believe it's imperative to put structure in place that will allow for the transition to the new leadership, and the fact that we need to put that full-time complement on duty 24/7 so that at 2 o'clock in the morning, no matter what the call is, there's somebody that's been trained to be a supervisor to make decisions that this board, as well as me as the fire chief, expect to be made. And we have looked at our personnel. We have interviewed. We have discussed. We were actually originally contacted by the union. We had just signed an agreement that prohibited lateral transfers to promoted positions. And they came to us and said, we think it's important enough that we're willing to bypass that in the agreement. So we negotiated two things with the union. One was to move the training officer from his current daytime captain's position to a shift captain position permanently. So we'll reassign the training duties amongst these three officers. So we won't lose the training, but it allows us to staff three positions with only two new hires. We went through our existing part-time officers. As you know, the vast majority of our folks work full-time other places. There was a number of people that expressed great appreciation for being asked if they were interested. However, one of our lieutenants is about to be promoted to a captain's position in his full-time job. We have others that are already significantly invested where they're at. We were able to identify two lieutenants that had interest. Both of those individuals are probably sitting by their phones waiting for me to tell them where we're going. The anticipation is that if you approve these positions tonight, that we will meet with them, formalize the remaining questions that we have as to what shift they would be assigned to, and look at the possible starting dates with them being hired at the next trustees meeting. Both of the individuals have in excess of 10 years of full-time service at their full-time job. And they've also served as lieutenants here. So they understand our structure. They understand the rules and regulations of the fire department. They all have great relationships with the crews that they work with. And I think for us to put people in that position, it's absolutely imperative that we pick people that are going to fit this department. And I think these two gentlemen that we've settled on are going to be able to do exactly that. They're going to hit the ground functionally. And I believe that I've done enough research and I've looked at staffing of all the departments around us. And we're the only ones that does not have full-time officers 24/7. And because of the nature of our part-time program, I can't guarantee an officer on duty. We began this transition in 2015 when we started hiring full-time. At that point, we stopped promoting part-time officers. We have been working on an attrition program, and we have lost a few of those part-time officers since then. This would take two more of those part-time and become full-time. We would still have our two part-time captains and two part-time lieutenants in the mix. But as they continue to get more senior, I mean, Captain King is able to retire basically when I'm ready to retire. Whether he stays or not, I don't know. I can't really speak for him. Captain Berter just became a shift commander at Westchester, which I think we're not sure how that's going to impact his desire or ability to stay The Lieutenant Metter is on mandatory overtime because they have one of their shift captains injured at Oxford. So he's basically working 48 on, 24 off. Lieutenant Owens is going to get promoted in January, and he's looking forward to becoming a captain at Middletown. So, we have spent a lot of time talking to our folks and making sure that they're comfortable with it. We've talked with the union. They invited me to their union meeting the other night, which is kind of bizarre, but I agreed. I went. And we discussed, they had some questions about some things, and I was able to answer their couple questions, and they were supportive of adopting both of the MOUs that we needed to make this happen. Our funding will clearly support these two positions without any problem based on where we were this year. And anticipating that funding will be the same for next year. Funding is already allocated that would cover these costs. As you all know, we put in for a SAFER grant. We are still in. They started releasing SAFER grants the 26th of August. So they issued 3 grants in Ohio. They issued 1 more this month. So those grants are starting to roll out. If those grant announcements come out and we get that grant, we're looking to hire 9 additional staff members. I think this is the perfect opportunity to get that position filled and get some leadership in place as we start looking for new people. We are currently short 1 full-time paramedic due to a resignation. I've been working with the administrator with the potential to do some statewide advertising and try to reach outside of Southwest Ohio and build a list of candidates that if we proceed with hiring, or if we get the grant and proceed with a significant amount of hiring in a short time, we would have a pool of candidates to do that. I think this is part of what people are going to look for when they come to this department, is that we have stability and we have leadership in place. And I don't think it's fair to expect the youngest full-time guy who happens to be on duty to make decisions when they're clearly not, they're not ready for that. I have told the union, and I was pretty blunt about it. I said, the reason I want to go outside after we had the discussion is my senior guy only has like 6 years. They're not ready to be shift commanders at this point. We keep training them. They're getting better. But we need to put somebody in at that level. And this is a perfect opportunity for us to do that. The move of the training officer, I think, is beneficial not only for the department structure at this point, but it's also going to be beneficial for that individual to get more command, hands-on experience, so that as we transition down the road, I'm hoping that some of these folks will get some experience and they'll be in line to become leaders in the department in the future. So that's kind of the general overall. I know that you received some documentation that I forwarded to the administrator. We also put together a job description, because the shift captain's job description is different than what we had for the training captain, and it's also different than what the part-time station captain job descriptions were. So we're trying to lay it out so that they assume responsibility for the daily operation of their shift. They become responsible for the scheduling aspect, the overtime filling, the management of vacation days and time off, and all of those things that are now part of the union contract, so that it's handled on a daily basis and you don't have to wait for the chief to come in Monday morning to fix problems. Nothing against Assistant Chief Schuman. He's got 2 small kids at home. He needs some time off. I'm fortunate that I don't have any little kids at home, but this last couple of weeks has been an example of why we need leadership that doesn't depend on the chief. I think I'm good at my job. I think pretty much everybody is pleased with where the department is headed and where we've got to, but I think we're at that point where we need to prepare for what's going to happen down the road. And this is an eye opener for me that I need to put that leadership in place at that level. And this is a golden opportunity. We have an agreement with the union. We have the qualified people to put in place. I think we would be making a major misstep if we lose those folks or didn't go forward with these kind of positions. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
So you're suggesting hiring 2 of our part-timers, moving in for the captain's full-time?
That's correct. They are currently part-time lieutenants for us now. So they are already officers. No, that would be Lieutenant Coomer and Lieutenant Sander are the 2 individuals that have expressed interest in the position. And they are, I got a text message from one of them asking me, did they make a decision? I said, patience is a virtue, and he just giggled. But
what salary would that be at?
they will be at the same salary as Captain Bauman, which is 16% over the top firefighter salary, 70 something. 70, it's 71 or 72,000, which if you look at captain salaries in the matrix of the Southwest Ohio, it is nowhere near the top. I believe that Captain Berger, for example, is probably going to make 145.
Where's he at?
Westchester. So he was making 123 as a lieutenant. So obviously there's more money out there. There's better money out there. We were, I think, fortunate to have guys that feel that this is the place they want to be, and this is an opportunity for them to become officers in a full-time environment. And I think those 2 individuals that have demonstrated a commitment to this department over the years of service as part-time employees. So,
Did you have to ask the union if that was okay to do it that way?
so the union came to us and recommended that we get some leadership. They offered to do an MOU with us. So I sat down and I talked with the union president. I typed up an MOU. I gave it to him. I said, look this over, let me know what you think. A week later, I sent him an email, said, are you ever going to get back to me? And he sent me back, yeah, we got questions. I knew you had questions. This is a discussion. And then as part of that discussion, they reached out to the candidates and there was discussion between them. And then I got a letter from the 2 candidates that said, this is what we think we need to make this work. So we were fortunate enough within the MOU to simply advance things that were already in the contract on a shorter basis. We reduced their probationary period. We advanced them some of their vacation a little bit earlier, in line with their seniority of where they should be. So we were able to reach what I feel was well within the contract limits. We just changed some timeframes to make them eligible a little bit faster on some stuff, which brings them closer to what they were at, where their full-time job was. So there was a lot of discussion. As I said, I went to the union meeting. We had some discussion on some final concerns that they had, answered all of those. I left the room. They come back and said, we're ready to sign. We approved it. So
is that another union subset or captains? Will they be on their own?
no, they're part of the union.
Part of the
Yeah.
same union?
That position already exists within the union for Captain Bauman. We're just relocating him from day turn to shift, and these 2 will pick up the other 2 shifts as the captains on that. So we didn't create any new rank structure. We didn't create any new pay structure. We just moved into what we had negotiated in the contract.
I think it's important that we set our department up for success. And like Chief said, since he's going to be retiring in 18 months or so, as long as we accept that resignation.
I'm not convinced that I'm ready to
I think we
accept
need to
that
set our
resignation.
department up.
going to come visit you.
I think we need to set our department up so that a qualified candidate is going to want to come into a situation that he could manage or she could manage. I'm really kind of surprised that we don't already have this in place, and I take responsibility for not knowing that, so I apologize. And I think that there should be a shift supervisor as captain at all times. So I'm in favor of moving forward with this. My opinion.
I think we need to think about the long-term vision for the department. I think we need to think about how it's going to work. I'm okay moving forward with this evening.
Trustee McAfee, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, we're gonna do it, we might as well go ahead.
Okay, well then I move to approve the creation of shift captain positions within the full-time staffing of the fire department as approved tonight and waive the first reading. I'm sorry, waive the second reading.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, if you can also inform the members of the department that they could watch the meetings on YouTube and they could know if we approve it or not instead of texting you. That would be great.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
I'm surprised they're standing at the window looking.
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
That passes.
And we will bring them to the next meeting to hire.
Great.
Okay.
Formally.
Fantastic. May we have the third resolution, please, of the evening?
It's Resolution 22-115 to approve open purchase order balances.
I move to approve 22-115.
Second. Any discussion?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
That passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 22-118 approving the Butler County Mutual Police Aid Agreement.
Sure does.
Second.
Any discussion?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
That passes. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 22-119 authorizing the removal, repair, or securance of an unsecure and/or unsafe building at 6767 Lester Avenue.
I move to adopt 22-119.
Second.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
That passes. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 22-120 authorizing payment for indigent cremation to Webster Funeral Home for resident Edward Garrity.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we know where he was living?
I don't.
Harkemaier. Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
That passes. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 22-121 to disperse $353,624.12 from the Tax Increment Financing Fund numbers 2904, 2906, and 2908. And this is for distribution of TIP monies collected and dispersed to the Fairfield City School District.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
That passes. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 22-122 appointing part-time firefighter EMT Austin Baratin to the Fairfield Township Fire Department at an hourly rate of $15.50 with a 12-month probationary period.
I move to adopt 22-122.
Second.
Any discussion?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
That passes. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 22-123 authorizing the appointment of part-time firefighter EMT Dominic Hunter to the Fairfield Township Fire Department at an hourly rate of $15.50 with a 12-month probationary period.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 22-124, authorizing the appointment of part-time firefighter EMT Thomas Vickers to the Fairfield Township Fire Department at an hourly rate of $15.50 with a 12-month probationary period.
I move to adopt 22-124.
Second.
Any discussion?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that passes. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 22-125, declaring nuisance and ordering abatement on the properties listed below and further authorizing the zoning administrator to initiate complaint. There is a long list. The properties include 6103 Brofield Drive for vegetation, 1920 Tooley Road for junk and building disrepair, 1427 Exeter Avenue for RV parking, 6163 Brofield Drive for RV parking licensed vehicle, 3800 and 3940 Princeton Road, both for junk and debris, 3568 Dust Commander Drive for a fence, 3887 River Downs Drive for RV parking, 6223 Lakewood Drive for an inoperable vehicle, and 5991 Headgates Road for vehicle park commercial vehicle.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes,
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
that passes. Our announcements. Our next Board of Zoning Appeals meeting will be on Thursday, September 22nd, 22 at 7 p.m. There is a 5K run scheduled for Saturday, October 1st, 2022 from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Bridgewater Falls. Fairfield Township Board of Trustees meeting. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, October 11th, 2022 at 7 p.m. We have a fall movie night on Friday, October 28th from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. right out here at Heroes Park. And don't forget about Treat Street. That'll be Saturday, October 29th, 22 at 4 p.m. at Bridgewater Falls. Any board member comments?
The TID met this week. We picked up another project, passed a resolution naming it as a project, the Sims Road Railroad. Looking at that and how we might be able to fix that intersection. The trains. It was, he told us from Fairfield, he told us that there was a train stop Wednesday or Thursday last week, and it was stopped for over 24 hours. And it has to do with the union contract, and when the shift ended, they stopped. And they're pulling twice as many cars and all those kinds of things. Those of us that have been here and drive that street on a regular basis, we know it needs to be addressed.
Is
So
that
that's becoming it'll be a Fairfield City, Hamilton, and Fairfield Town.
Is that by landform over there? Like right as you're coming?
You know,
past
Sims Road.
Yeah, okay.
So that we accepted that as a project. We've got a project on Tylersville Road. Hopefully it's going to be a resurfacing going into the city. You got your emails, I'm sure, on the North Hamilton Crossing, meeting number 4 or whatever number it is. This is going to be a very important meeting, and it's going to be at the engineer's office. And hopefully they're going to open that wall up, because the room we sit in that room, it's not this big. And that's coming up the first week of October. You guys
October
got the
the
dates right?
4th or
October
5th.
4th or something. And then
Third,
we'll be
Monday the
virtual.
3rd, I think.
Virtual, but again, I think everybody needs to be there for that, because we're coming down to that where we're going to have to start making some choices, and that type of thing. The other thing, and Mrs. Harkemaier will probably tell us about it with OKI, but the interchange at Milliken is there's no stopping it now. I mean, it's just a matter of what's going to happen. They're looking for investors, developers out there, and that's going to be It'll be in our lifetime, not like that Union Center one, which took forever to get done. This is moving along. So the TID is very busy. We've had some staffing changes, but we're still making progress on all those things. So again, I just want to remind you that to tell everybody at October meeting for the North Hampton folks.
Thank you for that update, Trustee Beckaby, on the Northampton. I had the pleasure of having a discussion with Mayor Fairfield a couple weeks ago, and he said that there is a push across Ohio amongst the Ohio Mayors Associations to move in cities, move the trick or treat to the last Saturday of October and having a daytime. So I just want to put that on your radar, that if the surrounding communities of Fairfield and Hamilton and Middletown, and if Westchester and Liberty fall in line of having that, and we still maintain our trick or treating hours to be on the 31st between 6 and 8, we will be attracting everyone from those surrounding communities to come into our community as well, adding more traffic on the streets, more kids running in between cars. So just put that on your radar. He believes it wasn't going to happen in 2022, but it may be happening in 2023, just to put it out there since we're approaching October. Also, I did play in the Carboy Classic, the golf outing. It was a beautiful day. I guess Mr. Carboy ordered the weather because it was just wonderful. And it was a great job by the Veterans Committee putting it on. And I'm happy to report that I don't want to hear anything about those lying political officials, elected officials, because we reported our honest score and we came in dead last, 2 over. So I had the pleasure of playing with some of the members of the committee, members of the Walden Ponds, and they knew the course really well. It didn't really help us, but it was a great time, and lots of money was raised, I think over $6,000. So I look forward to seeing that project moving forward, and I think that committee is doing a great job. And one last thing, the original trustee Birding has a birthday on Thursday, and I want to publicly wish her a happy birthday. That's all I have.
How old is she?
I am not legally allowed to disclose that. It was in our.
It has to be a public record somewhere.
I plead the 55th.
Is it over the speed limit?
What'd I say? She's out of town. She's probably not watching. But I love you, Susan.
It's recorded.
It's in the official documents. The minutes will record that.
Yes, it will.
Okay, a couple updates. Are you done?
Yes, thank you.
A couple updates. I attended the EMA meeting this afternoon, and couple good things that came out of that. They gave a big shout out to Fairfield Township, specifically to Chief Thomas, for the public safety corner that we had set up at the fair this year, at the Butler County Fair. So I don't know if anyone went out to see that, but there was a lot of times the smokehouse is just kind of in the back. Well, this year there was like a whole triangle that included the EMA, our smokehouse. We had our CPAA was there. We had a lot of different things in that area, and that came out in the EMA meeting today. So thank you for showing leadership and for doing that. The other great point that they said is it's a good opportunity for recruitment, because we've got that whole area right there, and we talk about fire and police and those things, and we show people that. So it's a really good tool. He also mentioned that next year there might be some demos or some different things that would go on in there too. That is another great opportunity for recruitment and to get people interested in what we do and all those good things. So fantastic. Thank you for showing leadership. The other thing that they're offering some different types of training that are offered to different communities. And I guess we at Fairfield Township have signed up for ICS 300 and 400. Again, thank you for showing leadership in that. I was very proud to be sitting there and having my community, not necessarily, nothing against anyone else, but our community is being very proactive on getting this training done. So that was a good thing. Let's see, I went to OKI last Thursday, and so I sit on the OKI board, but I've also been nominated to be a part of the strategic regional land plan. Okay, and we are in the process, that subcommittee is in the process of updating the strategic regional policy plan. So right now, it's kind of coming to the end of what the plan was before. They are now setting a plan that's going to be sort of forward looking to 2050. So we have conducted a series of 5 focus groups so far. There's one more this Friday, and the focus groups are on transportation, public facilities, housing, natural systems, economic development, and land use. And each one of those sessions has had anywhere from 15 to 30 people in them from across the region in a variety of disciplines. And we facilitated doing an affinity diagram, which is a great way to get all these ideas together. So that's happening right now. They're going to take that information, they're going to do some peer review on it and boil it down. There's going to be some additional fine tuning of the plan, and they're looking at rolling out the updated strategic regional policy plan, the SRPP, by spring of 2023. Now, what does that mean for us or for other surrounding communities? It might be a good time for us to start to look at our comprehensive plan and to take a look at this guidance document and to see how it fits for Fairfield Township. What I like about this document, it is not necessarily a one size fits all, but it's something that we can take a look at, and we can take these different feedback points into consideration, take what we know about our community, and then incorporate that as we see fit. Okay, so that's on the horizon. That'll be coming in spring. There will be some different, I think maybe some sessions. I know there's a focus group stakeholder event where everyone's coming back together, but they'll probably present it at one of the OKI meetings, but there will be more information to come on that. Let's see. There's a couple of grants that are available. We might want to look into that. Safe Streets for All. That's a grant that we might want to look into. There's another one called Reconnecting Communities, and those are both things. They do require a local match, but there are some things that could be used for paths or crosswalks or things like that. So that's probably something we should start to look into. There's also movement. They're coming up with a thing called the Crown. CrownCincinnati.org is the website. It's a 34-mile loop around the city. It covers 54 neighborhoods. It's mostly downtown. It doesn't really come up into Butler County, but it might be a nice amenity that our residents would want to go down and ride this path once it's put into place. They also, we did a little bit of renewing we talked about some of the different measurements plans, some of the different metrics that are out there. So we updated a few of those. Next meeting it'll be next month. I also attended the Butler County Township Association meeting last Thursday. And Mr. Bennett, you probably already know about this, but the engineer's office is going to be hosting the winter training rodeo on October 27th, which is good because I don't think they've done that for a couple of years because of COVID. So that'll be back on the 27th. There's also a calibration cruise in that day with the snow and ice trucks. So I'm sure you all are better experts than that, and I am. So I think we probably know how to do a lot of that on our own, but just, yeah, so that's available too. There's another thing, if you wanted to read Eric Ziegler, there is some culvert lining. I don't know if you'd want to reach out to him, you're Mrs. Vonderhaar on that. It's something that can be helpful in some of the older subdivisions for some changing. Let's see. We're looking at getting paving estimates about October 1st. Let's see. The county is looking for hotspots if there's areas of interest that we need to get to them. If there's something that they don't know about, something that we need changed or improved, that's something that we can get to them as well. Let's see. Oh, the OTA. For our residents, for township residents, they are eligible to sign up for the Ohio Township Association, there's 5 scholarships that are offered. So students that live in our community, they can put in for this scholarship. And, October 13th is the Butler County Township Association dinner. Our Mrs. Schultz is the one that is organizing and arranging that. Last year it was at Butler Tech, and the food was absolutely amazing. It was unbelievable. So
I didn't care for the speaker.
Yeah, I don't know about the speaker. He was a little bit dodgy. His last name was Birding. I don't know who brought him in, but he did a fine job. The other thing too that they did as a part of the educational piece is they brought in Jolie Joyce Smith's husband, who gave a wonderful presentation on the history of Butler County and sort of the communities as they were back originally. So they talked about Fairfield Township when it was still part of Fairfield. They showed pictures of some of the older buildings in the county. It was very interesting to see these pictures. It was an abbreviated presentation. I think he'll be doing some longer ones, but it was very, very interesting. And that, let me see. That's all I have.
I'd like to add one more thing if I could. I was stopped at church on Sunday by our pastor, Pastor Kim, and he just wanted to express to me and to tell our chief what an amazing job our crew did. He had a medical emergency a few weeks back, and he did an amazing. The crew came in, our guys came in and did an amazing job and very professional, and pretty much saved his life. And he's very grateful. And he just said they just knew exactly what to do. And so I wanted to pass it on too. I'm sorry for forgetting that. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further? All right. We've got executive
yet.
session.
Gotta get a
So
second.
close. In accordance with ORC 121.22, Section G8, to consider confidential information related to the marketing plans or specific business strategy for economic development assistance, or to negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance, I move that we go into executive session.
Second.
What projects are we talking about?
It was the library and then the Bridgewater Falls church area regarding a possible tip and dread. I did email about that.
Well, I saw that. I just wanted
Okay.
to know exactly what it was. I don't know why we need an executive session for that. We could discuss it all in public.
There's a motion and a second. Mrs. Schultz, will you call the roll?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes?
Trustee Birding.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
No?
Okay, so we will move into executive session at, let's do that at 9:45.
Doesn't it still have to be 3-0 for economic development or not? Used to be. Does that change? Yes, yeah. For economic development, it had to be 3-0. Did it change? And who else pulled the legislation? Ken?
So
Do we anticipate any action to follow in
action
executive
may or
session?
may not be taken as a result of executive session.
Okay, thank you.
So it's 9:42. We will convene at 9:47, which will give everyone 5 minutes.